you have three religions that have that construct in their view of their end-time prophecies. You have then three religions who currently are the background noise of three leaders who believe in their versions of apocalyptic prophecy, who understand that only if things get very bad are their versions, is their version going to be tested and proven in the fires of the final battle. You have, in the book, I show, we all in the West have heard the insanities of Ahmadinejad, a head of state, making statements, brazen statements about the erasure of Israel, that even Adolf Hitler, in his worst public statements, never made about even the Jews or the Russians in World War II.
It's really, really obscene. It's a moral obscenity, what he's been saying. It's true.
But it's not the whole of it. And this is the great crime of our mainstream news.
Oh, John, another great crime is about to be perpetrated. We have to take a break. We'll find out about an even greater crime in just a moment. We'll be right back. This is Whitley Strieber. It's Dreamland. We're back with John Hogue talking about Iran prophecy and the immediate future. Looking at a time when Fox News has just been reporting that Iran may be under attack by the United States in 8 to 10 months. A report picked up by the Jerusalem Post, the stated reason being that the refusal of Germany to impose further sanctions on Iran has pushed the U.S. across a line. And now Army officials are trying to convince Condoleezza Rice to abandon once and for all the diplomatic route and to move on this after the candidates for both parties are nominated, but before the next election. Terrifying stuff, and it feels like something that could go out of hand. John, let's continue talking. John's website, HogueProphecy.com. You can actually get the book we're talking about right now by going to HogueProphecy.com and simply downloading the ebook. How much is it, John?
It's $12 or $12.15.
$12 and change. And how do you pay for it?
Well, you can use PayPal. I have you can go into the shopping cart and click on it. It gives you instructions on how to download it. And, I figure as a prophecy scholar, if what I have to say has any merit, I should be making the next step in media dissertation. So I've moved into the world of photonic books, as I call it.
Right.
I gather my electrons and send to you books made of light and shadow, rather than destroying trees. As also my bit in helping the earth. So I branched out into that, and I have two books out. The last Pope Revisited looked at the St. Malachi prophecies after the crowning of the current Pope, and then this book, which I released in June 10th. And even though it's been released in June 10th and written in April and May, more and more of the events are catching up with it. And it's one of the reasons why I rushed so rapidly and did something I've never done in the 12 books that I've written. I produced that book in 8 weeks.
Yes, I know. I was privy to this, folks, because, of course, John was telling me about what he was doing as he was doing it, and also I had the privilege of reading the book, which is exactly as current right now as it was then, because this is John Hogue. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but we're having just about the finest discussion, in-depth discussion about Iran that I've ever heard anywhere. I think John is extremely well informed, and his information is enhanced and dimensionalized by his knowledge of prophecy. And this is something that you will never see or hear on Fox News, on CNN, because they disdain the idea. They laugh at the idea of prophecy because they're ignorant and simple people. They're not richly endowed minds like we're dealing with John Hogue right now. Not at all. So if you want to be at the cutting edge, you're at it right now. And let's go on as to where we are. And we've touched a couple of times on this issue of there being something in the prophecies that is very ominous, that looks a lot more ominous. For example, the description of what would happen is that the United States would cut off gas supplies to Iran, which it can do quite easily, in order to infuriate the Iranian people and make them rise up against their government. And the government is extremely unpopular in Iran. It's not popular at all. The only thing it gets in terms of popularity is when the United States becomes bellicose, and then people begin to feel their nationalistic spirit rising. But normally, the average Iranian is not in favor of this government. They're just trapped by it. So that's one thing we would do. The other thing we would be bombing the nuclear sites and setting them back in their nuclear program X amount of time. And if we can destabilize the centrifuges, the 3,000 centrifuges that they're using to make highly enriched uranium, we'd set it back a long time. But whether or not we can do that remains to be seen. But John, what's missing in this picture? Why are the prophecies so ominous if this looks like such a piece of cake?